Okay, welcome to Infusing Storytelling into Virtual Learning, sponsored by Unison EDU. So let's go ahead and we'll introduce ourselves, who will be presenting tonight. We do have the bit.ly here for this slide deck. We have it here in the first slide, and you also see it at the end, and we'll make sure we get it into the comments as well. But I'm Tim Taylor. Obviously, I'm a member of Unison EDU. I'm also work my full-time job. I work for Shenandoah County Public Schools. I'm the supervisor of instructional technology. And then I also serve on the VISTI board. I'm the chair of the education committee. Here is my Twitter handle, and here's my email that you can reach out to me. And here's my partner this evening, Trish.
Hi, I'm Trish Fox. I'm an instructional technology resource coach with Shenandoah County. I'm also a member of Unison EDU. This is my 15th year teaching. My background is in anatomy and physiology and a little bit of healthcare before that. And I also work part-time at Lord Fairfax Community College. But yep, there's my Twitter handle and my email address. And just as Tim said, we'll be putting the bit.ly in the comments here in just a moment.
And I didn't share that I've been in education for 41 years because, see, I feel old now since she's only been in for 15 years. So. But Trish, we work together at Shenandoah County Public Schools, and she does an awesome job as an ITRC. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into our topic here today. And first of all, I just want to say that I'm a big fan of PBE, and PBE is place-based education. Just bear with me because I do want to read for this sentence here. Place-based education immerses students in local heritage, cultures, landscapes, opportunities, and experiences, using these as a foundation for the study of language arts, mathematics, social studies, science, and other subjects across the curriculum. PBE emphasizes learning through participation in service projects for the local school and/or community. And on this slide, whenever you look at the slide deck itself, there's a little link here to the Promise of Place website, which has a lot of great resources around place-based education. But I've always been intrigued with this because of the connection to community. I really feel that it takes community to raise a child, educate a child, and I'm involved a lot in community service. So I just think it's a real good fit for education in general. PBE is a great way to address Virginia's 5 C's, and you'll see there here in a minute when I go through various examples, and then Trish towards the end of the presentation will give some as well. But obviously, when it comes to doing things out in your community, it's going to be able to touch base on citizenship skills, opportunity to do a lot of creative thinking. Communication obviously comes into play, especially with storytelling. Collaboration when you're doing projects and working together in teams and groups. And then also critical thinking about how's the best way to tell stories and from what different angles you may want to tell them. So there's so many diverse opportunities and ways that you can address the 5 C's doing storytelling. All right, so this is a great fit for virtual learning. And of course, a lot of us went through virtual learning and still may be going through it right now. But really, this can be done at any time, whether we get back to our normal school day where we're going 5 days a week. In Shenandoah County, we start our school year totally virtual. We moved to a high flex model in the middle of October. And what we had grades 6 through 12 only come to school 1 day a week. So as a result, our students were outside of the school building more than in it. So it's a great opportunity to go ahead and, since the kids are out of the building, they're out in the community, so let's turn them into classrooms. Now we're going back, okay, this coming Monday, March 22nd, to 4 days a week. We're going to keep Friday open for virtual learning and planning. But again, the things we're going to share can be done at any time. But again, when it comes to not being in the classroom physically, all these examples and ways you can tell these stories, it's just a great thing to do when you're outside the classroom because you get a chance to get out in your community and really get to know it. And I think sometimes we have students that don't really know a lot about their own backyard. So this doing these type of activities will really get a chance for them to get to know their neighborhoods and communities. And Trish, if you have anything to add, you'd hop on in here. So what can our students do in our communities? And I'm sure Trish is saying, oh, I'm so glad you asked. So let's see what we're doing, and we'll share some examples here. All right, first of all, one thing you can do is create community tours. And here are 3 examples here in my community in Strasburg. Now, what we used looking at these 3 examples here, we're going to go more depth here in a few slides, is we're using a free app called Easy Travel. If you go to easy.travel, you go to the website, it's totally free, and they have a nice app that you can use, so you can put it on your mobile device. Now, again, counts for students require parental consent. Really, the thing you want to concentrate on with your students is them creating the content to put into the Easy Travel app. And you'll be able to see that here in a minute. So again, when we did some examples, we're going over here, we just had one account. The students were able to provide content that we use then whenever we put the actual tours together. But the examples we're going to cover here is one, we did a ghost tour using the Easy Travel app. We have a teacher, an art teacher that's looking at creating a mural tour. And the other thing we want to do is we have a town museum, Strasburg Museum here in town, and we actually want to look at doing a museum tour. But there's other apps that can be used for this actually besides Easy Travel, and we'll look at that here in a second. So let's look a little more specific at some of these tours. First of all, I happen to be involved in the Strasburg, Virginia Heritage Association organization. I happen to be president right now, so that was a good connection, obviously, for this. So due to COVID, we always have a ghost tour every other year, but we realized that, okay, due to COVID, we cannot have it the way we traditionally did it. And that was we would actually have one place where groups of people would come together at certain time increments, and we would have local students that would lead them around the community, and we had storytellers posted in the community. So we would have groups of anywhere from like 15 to 20 people, and we'd lead them around town. Also, we couldn't have groups who were thinking, okay, how can we still do our ghost tour and have people be safe during this COVID pandemic? So we discovered this Easy Travel app. And if you go to the Easy Travel website or even download the app on your mobile device phone and just search for Strasburg, Virginia Heritage, this tour will actually appear. Now, what we did is we just opened it up during the month of October originally. But then what we decided to do then is, hey, let's just leave it wide open. One thing that was really appreciated by people, we usually charged $5 for the day you showed up for the tour or $3 in advance. We made this totally free and just say, hey, you know, if you're inclined to, would you mind giving us a donation? But what's nice is you can actually, and there's a screenshot of the map here on the screen here that you'd see on your phone. You actually just bring up the tour on your phone, and what happens is you see the map, and when you start walking to the destinations, the information for the actual destination will pop up on your phone. And you can add videos, audio files, text files, links to websites, etc. So what we had is we had our students actually record ghost stories that we've had, and for some reason, there seems to be a lot of ghost stories in Strasburg. We had students record these stories, so they did audio MP3 files. A couple of them did some short videos. So you got a chance to see the students doing this storytelling using this app. And when you actually get into the slide deck, these are actually live links you may have to click on to go and actually see these tours. All right, the next thing is we have a lot of murals in Strasburg, and if you haven't had a chance to come to the community, I highly recommend you do it because there's some beautiful artwork here. And there's actually a website that actually goes over these murals about what the concept is, who actually painted the murals. But the art teacher at Strasburg High School, what she's interested in doing with her students, and she's had some conversations about it, and she actually wants to have her students go out to the murals, you know, take pictures themselves, but also then do recordings of the students actually sharing their interpretation of the mural, what it means to them. And then again, using the Easy Travel app. So what can happen then is people can bring up this tour on their phone, and they can actually then follow the route to the actual mural. And when it gets to the physical location of the mural, again, on their phone, it will pop up with information about the mural. They'll be able to watch the recording of the students give their interpretation. So a great interactive tour using the Easy Travel app. Again, the students, again, they're recording their stories with video. They can also, again, just do an audio recording if they wish. But again, the students are providing the content The teacher's going to actually make the Easy Travel account, but they're going to assemble it within there. Finally, then we have our Strasburg Museum. And what the Easy Travel app can do is you can also create actual tours, okay, of different displays. So what we're talking about doing, we actually have a middle school agri-science teacher. She's looking at the Easy Travel app, but the other thing is she's very familiar with ThingLink. So she's thinking about using ThingLink for her students to come in and actually do stories, take pictures, doing video, etc., about displays in our museum. But what she's going to really concentrate on, being agri-science, we actually have some displays in there of old farm machinery and farm tools. She wants to bring her students in to the museum. They get a chance to pick out a tool that they're going to do research on it. So what they're going to do then is just, instead of doing the entire museum, because that's going to take time, they want to concentrate on trying to do a tour of the farm machinery and farm tools within our museum. She's actually talking to the museum, Strasburg Museum president now, working out a time they can get in there and start this project. So another great project here. Again, students get a chance to tell their stories around something of interest to them.
Yep, Tim in the comments,
yes,
applauding that it's a great idea.
Oh, awesome. And there's more. Okay. So this makes for great PR. If you look at the picture on the left, and then this will take you to the actual article. So this was a picture from our local daily newspaper, the Norman Gina Daily. Here's one of the students that actually did one of the stories. She's holding up her phone. It shows our Heritage Association logo there. And this is the first stop on our ghost tour. There's a great ghost story from room 201 and 301 in the hotel. So, this is a great picture and an article that happened there. And here's another article. There's actually a separate article that came out before this one about a ghost tour travel app to raise spirits this Halloween. And then we also have a monthly paper called the Mountain Courier that goes throughout our Shenandoah County. And here there was actually two stories in this issue we were very proud of. One here, Signal Knob students bring history to life. And this actually shows a picture where if you go through the Commonwealth, you'll see along the road, you'll see these highway markers giving historical facts. So we actually had some students from our middle school here, Signal Knob Middle School in Strasburg, go up to a radio station in Harrisonburg, and they were given the scripts from these roadway markers. So they actually recorded their voices. And what the Virginia Historic Department is doing is they are actually putting together, again, using the Easy Travel app. People can actually travel now along the roads in the Commonwealth. Instead of stopping to listen to stories, they can have it up on their phone. As they drive by these roadway markers, the actual audio will start playing. They can hear these stories instead of having to stop. So they were involved with that project, but they also had an article in there about our ghost tours as well. And then finally, there's a little bit here. The actual local TV station actually came to town and did a little news segment on it as well. So we got great PR about our ghost story and also that historical roadway marker as well. All right, the other thing that you can do, another way to tell virtual stories, is create podcasts. Podcasts are super hot right now. As I mentioned, I've been in this education now for a long, long time, and I've been in my current position for over 20-some years. I remember years ago, and I'm talking about 10 to 15, podcasts when they first came out were pretty hot, but then it kind of just died out. But they have really came back now with a vengeance. So this is a great tool to have students share their voice. And so here's an examples of what we're doing. Now, what we're using is the Anchor.fm app. And I do want to say that it accounts for students under 13 require parental consent. But again, what we're doing is we actually have created a podcast channel via our Strasburg Heritage Association. But again, how we're getting students involved is we actually have a newsletter that we send out about 3 to 4 times a year via the Heritage Association. And within those newsletters are folk history stories. We interview people find old pictures from around our community. So we're just sharing folk history. So what we have is we're asking local students to go to our archive newsletters, pick out stories of interest to them, and again, record these stories. And what we're doing then is we're sharing them via our podcast of the Strasburg Heritage Association. I just received one today from a student at Strasburg High School that recorded a story for us. So that's one thing we're going to do with our podcast channel. The other thing is we're also going to be doing interviews. Again, due to COVID right now, we we're not planning on doing any immediately. But for example, we have an event in town that we're planning in July, and we're hoping even with COVID restrictions we'll be able to have it because it's outside. But we've already talked about once we get our podcast equipment set up, get our kids back in school, they can then interview people about these historical events we're having in town. And just interview, and also just people. In other words, we've had actual people come into our high schools and middle schools that share their experiences. We had one person that her father was in World War II and received a Purple Heart. She told stories about how that happened. So that'd be a great opportunity to interview that person and put it on our podcast channel. And then the other things I mentioned about we have in July, we actually can do event promotions. We have a traditional Mayfest. We also, of course, can do our ghost tours when we have those, come with that person in person. We also have a holiday homes tour. So 3 different ways that we can use our podcast and get involved students, an opportunity for them to share their voice using this very simple app, Anchor FM, which is free. And also on this slide, I put a little link here, a studio at your fingertips, 5 apps teachers are using to make student podcasts. There's a lot of different ways that you can do student podcasts. Trish is really big in WeVideo that has the capability there. There's Soundtrap. There's a lot of different tools. And of course, there's a lot of Mac tools out there as well. So it doesn't have to be Anchor FM, just one that we chose, obviously because we like the free price. And here's a link to the actual Strasburg, Virginia Heritage Association podcast. We actually have 4 episodes up there now. Like I said, I'll be putting the next one we're going to put up is an actual one with a student read from our archive newsletter. Also, you can actually go, to our Strasburg Heritage Association website. This link will actually take you to those articles and those archives of those newsletters. So you can actually see some of the content there. This is on a kind of a little side note, but again, we're very, very proud of this because I wanted to share it. But I guess it was 2 school years ago, we actually had a local project involving our community and our Signal Knob students. Jackie Whiteman headed up. She's the librarian at Signal Knob Middle School, but she wanted to concentrate on community history. And so she went ahead and took students and said, find a topic that's of interest to you, and we want to identify certain topics, and we're going to invite the community to come in and have some heritage days, at the Signal Knob Middle School. And so we had various people come in and talk to the students about things they were interested in, and students started doing research on it, did presentations, etc. But we also then, as a result of that project, we had an outside person came in, Glenn Hopman, and said, hey, why don't we get our students to submit applications, to the Virginia Historical Society, who will look at an application for a new roadway marker in your all's area. And so what happened is they looked at different projects, and the students decided that, hey, let's go ahead and submit or help a group submit an application for a colored school in a Strasburg community called Sunset Hill School. So as a result of the students kind of starting this project, the Sunset Hill School alumni, who many are still around our community, they put together an alumni group. And so they started working with the students. And anyway, they submitted this application for the roadway marker, and lo and behold, it got accepted. So the picture you see on this screen is the actual roadway marker that's actually in front of where the school building resides today. It's actually just a storage building, but the group is actually trying to get the school renovated and kind of maybe put a little small museum together or having tours for it. But it's just a great example, again, of how students got involved in the community. A lot of pride there. They had a great celebration. Ben Klein actually came in and gave an address in downtown Strasburg. I actually bused the former students that attended Sunset Hill School from our downtown community center to the actual school because they weren't allowed to ride the bus. So that was symbolic. So just a great, great day, and it's a lot of pride in our community. But again, student initiated there. So how can I make this happen? First of all, you want to reach out to community organizations, get your students engaged, and identify possible deliverables. And that's what's going to happen on the next slide. Trish is going to share different ways, different deliverables that you can have when it comes to storytelling. Again, I share a specific example, but there's a lot of ways that you can have students share their voice. So Trish is going to show or share some examples and ideas here on the next slide. So it's all yours, Trish.
Thank you. All right. So really, in thinking about this, a lot of it is the community coming into the classroom, and you also want to be thinking about, as an educator, how can I start it from my classroom as well, having it go both ways. One thing that you can do is movie making, filmmaking. And oftentimes we do think that that's, a time eater. It can be very time consuming for students to make movies, but there are lots of apps out there that make it very easy to do. It doesn't have to be large groups making it, especially with distance restrictions. Right here, I have an example of one type of movie project to tell a story, and it's called a note card confession. Really, all you need is a means of recording and paper and marker. And with this, the student can do research on, say, a local figure in the community, and can give information about that character that person without revealing it until the very last paper, the very last card. And it really gives the students a lot of practice with literacy skills, how best to convey this information, getting to the point, and it minimizes the amount of time that students spend on kind of like the details that they tend to focus on, with the formatting and all the cool effects you can have. We had teachers at Peter Muhlenberg Middle School who actually used this to transform a portion of a unit they teach, where they had to introduce the 5 first presidents. So another fantastic way of making it so much more exciting by having the students reveal personal information about the president, to make them humanize them, making them a person, as well as understanding their contributions to the country. So this was an example of that. Moving over, let's say, movie. That's movie projects, a lot of work. Let's shorten that. Let's give ourselves a shorter timeline for the kids. How about just a movie trailer? What you see here in number 2 is actually a stop motion project that teachers did with students. For this in particular, they were looking at regions of the country, but the teachers would like to focus on areas of the local community, because quite honestly, for these students, we live and work in Woodstock, where I am, and that's all these kids know, a lot of them, is the Woodstock area. So allowing them to explore that area, bring in, okay, here are the regions of the country. Now, what's special about your region in particular? And the nice part about this is that the movie trailer, quick and to the point. Again, let's get that information out there and conveyed in a way that you demonstrate you understand it. But also it allows them to have that voice and choice, as you can see with that great big military truck. Had to put, a little bit of their spin on it, which was kind of fun. And then you also have where you can entwine local aspects of our community in just everyday activities within the classroom. So here is a then and now exercise. So we have students, oftentimes we want them to write, and that can be like pulling teeth, but in practicing compare and contrast and effectively writing. Right here you see 2 pictures of the same building. This is the old Woodstock High School. Now, it, through its lifetime, for a while there, became the school board office, if I'm correct, Tim.
That's correct.
And now it's actually being refurbished to upscale apartments. So that's something that the teachers at the middle school are planning on incorporating more. And our gate teacher here is also looking at finding other artifacts for comparison, and also looking to see about having the students interview older members of our community about these buildings and about the building's life, to really promote that storytelling. Because honestly, there are so many great stories just around us, and it's a matter of getting the kids interested and realizing that, this is the authenticity of all this is the engagement for them. So yeah, we have a few plans going as far as making a virtual museum of the Shenandoah County, having the schools work locally in their areas to provide information. Hopefully, we're working towards having the students create virtual reality, I want to say tours or sessions focused on areas of the region. And then maybe including in that other projects that can delve into creating, 3D printed artifacts of the area. We are having meetings now to figure out how we can reach out into the community, because I will say, going out on your own as a teacher, that can be very intimidating, but having a group of teachers working together as a team, it really lightens that load for everyone and gets the community involved. Because really, if you reach out, people are willing to help. It's not as intimidating as you would think to ask for the resources and ask for the help. So really hoping that we can kind of follow in the footsteps that Tim had said about really kind of placing these student artifacts as part of community and the institutions that we have with the historical museums and whatnot. Hoping.
Yep. I really love that then and now. That looks so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And Shenandoah County, I mean, if you start talking and having conversations with some of the teachers who have been around in your district, we actually fell upon a massive research project that was done a while ago on the Shenandoah County, and just these binders and binders of artifacts and information about it, major events. Throughout time, we're able to find quite a few of these older pictures, and to compare it to now is just amazing. Some kids didn't even believe it when I showed them, so that was pretty cool. So, and then at the bottom here, I have a website that gives you various tools for using filmmaking as a means of storytelling. And again, I know sometimes it seems daunting to think about, a whole movie project with the students, but you can make it simple and straightforward. And then you can even, it's that whole deal of, okay, if you don't have time for that, time for a movie trailer. If we don't have time for that, make me a GIF or make me a meme that really, just brings the point home. So I think I saw a question about no card confessions.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happened was, and I have some information about that in that link that you see at the bottom. It was pretty cool. So it needed some structure, obviously, for the middle school students. What the teachers did is they had the students create a storyboard. We need you to have a certain amount of facts about, and for this case, it was one of the first 5 presidents. They picked one. Really what they stressed to the students was, we want to know who this president was. Yeah, sure, you can tell me, the 3rd president of the United States, did A, B, and C, but I want to know who they are. And that, the kids did really well with that. So what they would do is they could put, I believe it was no more than 8 words on a card. They had to write nice and big, had to check for that spelling, had to check to make sure it made sense. And they wrote that out. And man, those kids, they wanted to negotiate 8 words. They're like, really, I can't put a 9th one in there. And it really, them having to work as a group and decide how to alter that to make it work was pretty cool too. So they would, once ready, they would press record, and these are just using Chromebooks. They would press record, and they would have the papers all set and ready, and would reveal the first piece of information. And they did it in first person. So I was born here, when I was 6 years old, this happened, and went through it. They had a minimum number they needed to have. And then by the very end, the very last card said, and just to let you know, my name's George Washington. And the kids did some really cute things with that. Then because our district has licenses with the application WeVideo, we were able to have them put that in there. And then they were able to add a few touches if they wanted. So like you can see in the picture here, they made it look, vintage, old timey, if you will, went with the, the black and white. And a lot of them turned out really well. And it wasn't as much of a time eater as you would have thought as a project, because they kept it simple, and because the teachers really minimized the amount of flair that the students were supposed to have in it. And also the teachers really made it straightforward with that no card confession that, we really want to know the information here and who this person is. You don't have to act things out. You don't even have to have your face in it if you're a shyer student, but you're still getting it done. And so when they put it in WeVideo, they were able to do, some editing, put some minimal effects on it and even add some music to it. So I hope that answers the question, but it's a really nice way to get kids working on storytelling through filmmaking without it being an enormous production.
Yeah, it's kind of baby step activities. It's perfect. Yep, excellent. Okay. And we got up to the thanks screen. So really, is there any questions or anything anyone else has? You can feel free to put anything in the chat. But as you can tell, Trish and I are always excited about the opportunity for kids to share their voices, share stories, and there's a lot of ways it can be done. There's a lot of tools out there. And Linda, yes, our community is very proud of our work, and hopefully there'll be a whole lot more projects they'll be very proud of. Okay, well, I think that's it, Trish. It was a pleasure presenting with you. We got it in about 30 minutes. That's what we were kind of hoping for. And of course, this has been recorded. It's going to be up on the Unison EDU website. And I get a shout out to Unison EDU. It's a great group. I highly recommend if you get an opportunity to join us, do it. But just spread the good word about us. We're available to help out school divisions and people when it comes down to integrating technology to impact student learning. So again, it's been a great opportunity to spend time with you. Thanks to all those that joined us. And Trish, do you want to say any final thoughts?
Oh, no, thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. And Tim, thank you for partnering up on this project. I really enjoyed it. I don't know, storytelling. I love a good story. So
you got that right. We'll do something else again, Trish, in the future. All right. Thank you all very much. Thanks, Pat. And you all take care of yourselves. Stay safe and stay healthy.